Just how much are home prices in Colorado going to drop in 2025? I'm going to tell you in this video by giving you the hard data on the housing market in Colorado so you as a buyer or an investor can make a more informed decision in 2025. Now, the first thing to understand is that home value growth in Colorado is basically flat. And actually, over the last 2 years, there's really been no growth in prices after the big spike during the pandemic. So this market has already slowed significantly, particularly in metros like Denver, Colorado Springs, and Boulder. And the reason that the market has slowed is due to a decline in buyer demand and a big surge in inventory and supply. There's a lot of homes now sitting on the Colorado housing market for sale. In fact, we have the highest inventory in Colorado that we've seen in almost a decade. I want you folks to take a look at this map on Reventure app, everyone. You can see that Colorado has 23,000 active listings at the end of 2024. This 23,000 active listings is up almost 30% year over year to the highest level of supply that we've seen at least going back to 2017. That means that there's now a 34% inventory surplus in Colorado from the long-term average. That's the fourth highest inventory surplus of any state in the US. So what this means for you as a Colorado home buyer in 2025 is that there is no longer a housing shortage in Colorado, but rather there's a glut of inventory and supply sitting on the market. And you can see this glut here, all these different listings in Denver. And the problem here in Colorado is that even though there's more inventory, the prices are still very expensive. Like to buy a 4-bed, 2-bath house that's 2,000 square feet, you got to plop down $625,000. This house looks like it was a recent flip. It looks pretty nice on the inside. However, your monthly payment is going to be around $4,700 a month or $56,000 a year. Now, that's a lot of money, everyone. And unfortunately, a lot of the home buyers in Denver, while they're more affluent than the US average, people in Colorado earn a higher median income. I don't think a lot of the buyers in Colorado have the money to afford $56,000 a year in mortgage tax and insurance payments. And it's that lack of affordability that has really brought the Colorado housing market to a screeching halt, with data from Redfin showing that there was around 1,600 weekly home sales in Colorado at the end of 2024. 1,600 weekly home sales is down about 43% from the peak in buyer demand that occurred in 2020 during the pandemic, and it's down about 20 to 25% from pre-pandemic norms. So one thing to really understand, if you're a buyer in Colorado, if you're an investor and you're a realtor, understand that not only has the inventory and supply gone way up, the buyer demand has gone way down. And while it might be up slightly from where it was a year ago, it's still way down from where it was before the pandemic. And that's a concerning trend, because if the buyer demand is down 25% from what it was in 2018 and 2019, how is the market going to support itself? How are these prices in Colorado going to support themselves? Well, I don't think they are. In fact, Reventure app is forecasting home price declines all throughout Colorado's housing market next year. And the way that we do this is through our home price forecast score. This is a score ranked from 0 to 100. And the closer a market is to 100, the more likely prices are to go up. The closer a market is to 0, the more likely prices are to drop. And the issue in Colorado right now, which might actually be a positive for you as a buyer, is that the home price forecast for the state is a 41 out of 100. That's one of the lowest price forecasts for any state in the US. You can see we have quite a few states where Reventure app is forecasting appreciation over the next year. Colorado is not one of them. And this price forecast has really dropped over the last couple of years. And one particular market I want to focus on is Denver, everyone. Denver has a forecast of 34 out of 100. Denver has now gone down well into a buyer's market. So it's becoming more and more friendly for you to be a home buyer in Denver. And I think if you're a buyer in Denver in 2025, you're going to see cheaper prices. You're going to see more supply. You're going to see more price cuts due to this really low home price forecast. This is the lowest score we've had at Reventure app in the last 7 years for Denver. You could see the big surge that occurred during the pandemic that predicted the increase in prices. Now we're going the opposite way, predicting a decline in prices. A score of 34 out of 100 correlates to approximately a 5% decline in value year over year. Don't be surprised if prices in Denver are down 5% on the year. Because if we look at the counties in the western half of the state, we see something very different going on. We actually see positive home price forecasts in Eagle County, in Pitkin County, where Aspen is. If we go to Grand Junction and Mesa County, we have stable forecasts. If we go down to La Plata County, where Durango is, we have a stable home price forecast. So it seems like the western half of Colorado's housing market is holding on stronger, while the central and eastern half is in a downturn. And the reason we're seeing this geographic division in the Colorado housing market has everything to do, again, with supply and inventory. Inventory has gone way up in Denver. It's gone way up in Colorado Springs. It's gone way up in Boulder. Yet, if we go to Aspen or if we go to Durango, we can see that inventory in Pitkin County is still way below its pre-pandemic norm. So there's still actually an inventory shortage here near Aspen. There's still actually an inventory shortage near Durango. While comparatively, if you go to El Paso County, where Colorado Springs is, we have by far the highest level of active listings and supply in the last 7+ years. So this is a very regional housing market, everyone, in Colorado. You can't just look at the statewide forecast if you're a home buyer, investor, or realtor. You got to drill down into what's going on in your county and what's going on even in your zip code. But this is the other crazy thing, everyone. If we break down this analysis into neighborhood-specific analysis, we can see that even within certain pockets of counties and cities, there's still big variation in how prices are growing over the last year and where they're projected to go over the next year. Because if we look at the metro map of Denver, everyone, we could see some big differences in this home price forecast. Certainly to the areas to the east of Denver, like in Aurora, we have a big downward forecast in Aurora, where we have the highest supply we've seen in a decade, mixed with some of the highest days on the market that we've seen in a decade. Check this out, everyone. In 80011 in Aurora, the days on the market was 6 days in 2021. It's now 51 days in 2024. Signaling a huge slowdown. Houses are just sitting on the market for a really long time. Conversely, if we head out east towards Bennett, we could see actually this zip code is in red, meaning stable price forecast of 52 out of 100. We also have some red to the southwest portion of the Denver metro. So not all areas are forecast to decline. I would encourage you guys at the end of this video to go to www.reventure.app and check out the home price forecast for your zip code. And again, we come up with these home price forecasts by looking at the individual market data for an area related to inventory, days on the market, price cuts, recent appreciation with adjustment for mortgage rates. So this forecast is based on underlying data telling you the supply-demand dynamics in the market. It's some of the best forecasts that you can find on the real estate market in 2025. In 2023 to 2024, these forecasts performed very well at forecasting the future directions of prices across America. So make sure to dig into that data at the end of this video. But first, I want to give a little advice to you guys out there as home buyers in Colorado, whether you're in Denver, whether you're in Boulder, whether you're in Fort Collins, or whether you're down in Pueblo. I think another important metric to look at is the differentiation between how much it's going to cost for you to buy a house in terms of your mortgage, taxes, and insurance versus rent the same house. There's one thing that's a bit of a headwind for the Colorado housing market right now is the fact that it's actually much cheaper to rent than it is to buy. And I want to show you guys what I'm talking about here. If we go on Zillow and we look at the houses that are available for rent around Denver, let's actually go to the southwest to Lakewood and see what we got. You can see we got some smaller houses here in Lakewood, like a 3-bed, 1-bath available for rent at $2,800 a month. Now that is, relatively expensive, let's say, to rent a small house. Now, if you were to try to buy the same house or a similar house, you would have to spend around $515,000 for your purchase price, which would make your monthly payment around $3,700 a month. So $1,000 more per month to buy the same house as it is to rent. And on average in Denver, the buy versus rent differential is about an 88% premium to buy a house. And what's interesting is historically, this is, the highest buyer's premium that we have ever seen in the Denver housing market. Actually, prior to the pandemic, it was about the same cost to buy as it was to rent. Now it's way more expensive to buy. And this is just kind of another indicator to you as a buyer that maybe you should be cautious purchasing a home in 2025 because you're going to be paying more for your monthly payment to do it. But at some point, folks, it's going to have to get a bit cheaper to buy, because what's the incentive for a first-time buyer to get into the market if it's 80% more expensive to buy than rent? Now, to conclude the video, I'm going to do a rapid fire round going through different counties in Colorado, telling you my forecast for prices in 2025. At the end of that rapid fire round, make sure to go to www.reventure.app so you can get those forecasts down to your zip code level under a premium plan. The cost is $39 a month. This plan is going to be well worth it for you as a buyer and investor who's interested in buying a house in 2025. You're going to want to understand the forecast. You're going to want to understand the historical growth as well as the overvaluation rates. So I'm going to go here on Reventure app and change the view to county view. I'm going to change the data point to home price forecast. And I'm going to go to filters and then isolate Colorado. You can see here Colorado has 64 counties. You can analyze data for all these different counties here in table view. You could download it into Excel. You can do all types of fun stuff. But really, again, what we need to touch upon is the fact that there's some really heavy downward price pressure in and around Denver. Like the Denver housing market is slipping. I'm calling it a correction in 2025 with these trends that we're seeing in inventory and DOM. I'd be very cautious if I'm a buyer in Denver this year. You are going to see more opportunity, but you're also going to see values drop, so you got to be careful. I'd say the same thing in Colorado Springs. El Paso County has a price forecast of 35 out of 100. That's a really low forecast. You can see values in El Paso County are basically flat over the last year. I think they're going to tip into negative territory next year here in 2025. Additionally, in Pueblo County, values are already going down. In Bent County, they're going down. However, again, folks, look at what's going on the west side of Colorado where Vail is. Eagle County, prices up 7.4% in this ski resort area. Prices still going up there. They're going up in Aspen. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this name. I'm probably going to butcher it. Saguache County. Let me know if I pronounce that correctly in the comment section. But overall, the trend to understand, central to eastern half of the state, declining prices. How much they're going to decline is going to depend on the area. Make sure to go to www.reventure.app and look at the forecast for your zip code under a premium plan and see how it's trended over time.